Simone, can you take us through the day it happened? From the beginning?
As I said, it started off just an ordinary day, apart from the fact I had an upset stomach. Before Grant went to work, as usual, he told me what he wanted for dinner. Salmon en croûte and not shop bought. He wanted me to make my own puff pastry. Everything from scratch, he said. Andrew had a stomachache too, so I said he could stay home from school. He spent the morning in his bedroom and didn't come downstairs until lunchtime.
And Grant surprised you by arriving home early?
Yes. And I panicked. I'd spent all morning preparing the meal for later, making the pastry twice because it went wrong the first time, but I hadn't had time to put the dish together yet. I'd had to keep dashing to the bathroom, feeling more and more unwell as the day went on. But none of that mattered. If Grant did something out of the blue and I wasn't prepared, then that was my fault. I was woefully unprepared to cook and serve his meal mid-afternoon rather than evening, and he was predictably furious. He trampled the pastry underfoot and tossed the fresh salmon fillets in the bin. He told me to walk to the supermarket to buy the ingredients again.
You'd already told him you were feeling unwell?
Yes. And he was amused. The supermarket was a mile away and the weather was so hot. I didn't think I'd make it. I asked if I could take the car, and he refused. By this time I had the mother of all headaches, and I nearly collapsed at the thought of all that walking and then having to make the pastry again. So fiddly, puff pastry. I just sat down at the kitchen table and put my head in my hands. I heard him rustling about, but I felt too ill to even look up, and then something was pushed into my mouth. Raw pastry from the bin. I spat it out, but he pushed in more, grabbed my hair and pulled my head back and filled my mouth with it, ramming more and more in. I was retching. I couldn't breathe. I was terrified I'd choke and he'd just watch me die. Then I vomited all over the table. He sat down opposite me and laughed. I mean, he really laughed.
What did you do?
It's very hard to remember the detail. Feels like recalling a dream now, or a nightmare, trying to grasp the slipperiest of details. I remember his head tilted right back, his teeth on show when he laughed so heartily. I saw the glint of metal on the side and I felt myself standing up, and then I had a newly sharpened knife in my hand.
What recollection do you have of actually attacking your husband, Simone?
Sorry, my mind's gone blank.
Well, take your time, there's no rush. There's no pressure.
I remember...
Yes?
I remember seeing his blood. So much blood. All over my hands.
I sat in the seating area in the foyer, relieved I was the only person there. I stared out the window and unscrewed the cap on the small bottle of water I brought with me. When I'd stood up to leave Simone after our interview, she reached across the table to touch my hand. "I can tell something is troubling you, Esme," she said gently. "Are you okay?" The words spilled from my mouth before I could choke them back. "It's my sister. She's been attacked."